Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. Boys and girls, doing a little bit of a call-in show. Going to do this for the next hour. Take it to, let's go to 10:10. You guys know the deal. You get 3 minutes on the clock. After 3 minutes,
That's it! You're out of here!
you get the chicken. Want to hear from you? Got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Mike Tomlin, is he potentially an option? Probably not. Mike McCarthy is going to be leaving the Cowboys, allegedly. Is he an option? We heard from Hughes and Rosenblatt and Cimini that Grigson, Flores, and McCown seem to be their guesses as to who the Jets get. We're watching the Vikings right now. Vikings versus Rams. Sam Darnold not having himself a night. Not having himself a night at all. Who knows? Maybe he becomes available as a quarterback option. All things, come down to the wire, I guess, with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm excited to talk to you guys. We'll talk in the chat. I want to give you guys some of my thoughts on some of the workings going on around the NFL and what I think about Mike McCarthy and that whole situation down in Dallas. To me, Mike McCarthy was probably the hire that you should have made with Sam Darnold when you got Adam Gase. That was probably the move. He was an established head coach, offensive-minded, had success, Super Bowl, all that stuff. Now, I guess I'd be fine with it. We were just talking on Talking Jets, myself and Tigo, and I do feel like there's sort of a cap on how good McCarthy is going to be. Like, it's sort of like a soft ceiling, if you will. Not that he can't overcome it, but I feel like he should have overcome it with Dallas. Dallas the last 2 years, maybe not so much this year, but in years past, that team was so good. To not have the success they should have had is a little frustrating. Overall, on his career, he's 174 to 112 and has 2 ties to his name. That's a .608 regular season. He is a perfect 11 for 11. 11 and 11. 50-50 in the playoffs. And obviously coached the Cowboys last 5 seasons, right? 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 5 seasons down in Dallas. Do I think the Jets should go with them? I would like to go with someone with a higher upside. I would like the offensive-minded coach, but is there one that's going to be that's going to be an option for the New York Jets? Are you going with a first-time guy like McCown, rolling the dice, hasn't even called plays? Is he the guy? Can you convince Joe Brady to leave the Bills to go to the Jets? That's interesting. Liam Cohen now out of the playoffs. Do the Jets request any kind of interview with him? Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case because you would have thought that request would have been put in initially with all these other people coming in. Man, they are almost getting so close on every single one of these punts. Every single punt. Vikings just got the ball back on a punt. 8:24 left in the first half. Ben Johnson not getting an interview because he doesn't want us. Todd Monken, we scared off after we hired Adam Gase. The Adam Gase hiring was probably one of the worst hirings from a negative impact scenario. Ruined Sam, and then also ruined our relationship with a bunch of other people that thought we were credible. Like, oh no, he gets fired, you immediately hire this guy and he's a schlub. Sucks. Sucks. Cameron comes and says, give Mike McCarthy a chance. He can handle chaos. I would be interested to see if he's going to consider us. If we throw in a request to interview him, does he jump to the top of the list? I saw Connor Hughes was saying that the relationship between McCarthy and Rodgers was overblown on his way out of Green Bay. Is that a situation that you like where he could then pick his next quarterback? He didn't get that opportunity in Dallas with Dak there. I don't know. I don't hate it. If we wound up with McCarthy, I'd be fine with it. I think it's a fine, hiring if you want to have, steady success. And hopefully you pop off. Hopefully the talent level he had in Dallas is the one thing I can't seem to get over in my head. Like I think Dak's a really good quarterback most of the time. CeeDee Lamb is a top 5 receiver in this league. The offensive line was good for a while. I think I'm at the point where I don't want to say I don't care, but I could see a rationale for almost any one of these coaches. Aaron Glenn, great character guy. First time defensive head coach, gives me the willies. Josh McCown, never called plays. Never been an offensive coordinator. Immediately the head coach, maybe. Flores, real douchebagla. Not a very nice guy. Terrible situation down in Miami. 5 offensive coordinators in 3 years. I think it was 4 offensive line coaches too. Crazy. V-Man, what's up, dude? Says, I don't get the Tomlin love. Hasn't done jack in years and has been mid since 2017. I don't want to climb out of the sewer to be stuck in the gutter. So by that same thought process is kind of where I'm at with McCarthy. Only McCarthy's on the offensive side of the ball, and I feel like he maybe has a better shot at developing a quarterback. Tomlin, I don't love his offensive staffs that he's had in Pittsburgh. And his last 5 playoff games have been terrible. I mean, he's lost to some good quarterbacks the last 4 attempts, or 3.5. It was when Baker was shaky in Cleveland. Still good. And then 2017, he lost to the Jags, 21-0 or whatever it was. So I understand this thought process. Steelers fans were heated at Mike Tomlin. Now, maybe that's just because the loudest fans are going to get amplified on Twitter after a loss. But, man, they very much don't like Mike Tomlin over there. Where it's we're going to get to 10 wins every single season, and then nothing else. We are just tapped out after 9 wins, 10 wins. Wild Wave. I think you'll take anybody. I really will. I'm pretty wide open. I'm not so diehard one particular candidate this cycle because I don't know what Rodgers does. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if I've ever been this uncommittal on anything. It's very frustrating to me. Very frustrating. Zodak saying, B-Man, you're nuts. Wild Wave agrees. Says that Mike Tomlin is overrated. CD wasn't even a Pro Bowler before McCarthy came in. Well, that was 1 year, right? CD was drafted in 2019. No. Was it 2020? Is that right? Hold on. Give me a second. Now I got to look it up. Before I do, this stream powered by BetUS. If you want to help out the channel, head over to BetUS. Get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit, up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Boys and girls, what do you think the Jets' record prediction is going to be for the 2025 New York Jets? I have us at 5-12. I don't think we're winning a lot of games. This is me kind of thinking Rodgers is going to retire. If Rodgers comes back, it probably gives you a coin flip opportunity at a lot more of these games. I really think so. Boys and girls, discover BetUS Casino Playground. If you're a slots enthusiast, BetUS got the games to raise your pulse. Test your skills with timeless classics. Explore the newest, hottest slots, and feel that casino buzz with BetUS live dealer tables. Sign up now, get a 200% bonus, up to $5,000, and 250% crypto sign-up bonus, up to $5,000. Get ready to rush the BetUS Casino. Generous promotions and tournaments make your play even more rewarding. Boys and girls, we're going to go to call-ins in just a little bit of time here. Going to talk to the chat. We'll say at 9:30. We'll say 10 more minutes, then we'll go to the phones. So Clem are saying CeeDee Lamb was not even a Pro Bowler before McCarthy came in. I'm almost positive. He was taken the same year as Mekhi Becton. Wasn't Becton in the 2020 draft? Yeah. First round pick in 2020. Of course he wasn't a Pro Bowler before then. Come on. You can do worse than McCarthy in the short term. Jets need a long-term option. McCarthy is not that in 2025. Do we have a long-term option? Is there one that you see currently on the table? I don't care. It seems like every time it matters, I get crushed. So I'm just saying F it. Yeah, right? Like, that's exactly my mindset. I am not even like I'm hoping for wins, but like just the level of like my desire is like just fucking entertain me. Like just hit that mark first. Then we'll worry about wins. Then we'll worry about the quality of wins. Then we'll worry about the playoffs. Then we'll worry about like Super Bowl and all that. I'm like, my bar is so low right now. You can step over it. Tom saying McCarthy, then Brady, then Arthur Smith, then Nagy, then Flores, then Glenn. So he's very much on the offensive mindset side of things for the coaches. I can understand that. Running game was horrific too with Pollard and Elliott, then Dowdle. I mean, Pollard's pretty good. But yeah, under McCarthy, maybe not as good as you want it to be. I mean, you knew he was popping off. Pollard got hurt in there too? I think he did. Sorry about that. Newsom saying Tomlin refuses to run a modern-day offense. Hasn't won a playoff game since the Obama term and would want front office control with Jets non-starter. I don't know if front office control is like a non-starter. I really don't. Maybe like for you it is, but I'm not so sure for the Jets that's like a non-starter. Like I could totally see a situation where Woody's like, yeah, we suck. Like we'll just take the best guy possible. And like I think Vrabel would have been able to pick his GM. Front office control, I understand you're saying is like he is the de facto GM, and I would say that is probably not good. But like if you pick your own guy, that's almost the same thing anyway. Sodak says, honestly, I was way more hyped for Salah than any of these candidates, so what do I know? But Glenn scares me. God willing, we get it right for once. Yeah, I don't even know what the right answer is. Everything is just so up in the air because it's like defensive guys. We're not going after the top offensive names. It's not like we're going after Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen or Todd Monken. Like, that's the part that's really getting me to pull my hair out. Now, oh no, Sam! He puts the ball on the ground. Yo, Sam may get the franchise tag, which is not super helpful to the Vikings, but man, he is having a bad game. Bad game. Now I got to see. What is the box score? So he's 11 for 13, 92 yards, 1 interception, and now a fumble that got returned for a touchdown. That is oogly. With a capital Not great. Look up Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy feud. It will tell you everything that you already knew about A-Rod. Stop. Let's go low key. So are you saying low key like as far as like Aaron Glenn is kind of I don't want to say an under the radar, but like a non-splashy move and just hope that Rodgers retires? Or like this feels like a very anti-Rodgers take, which again, even on the Rodgers front, like I don't care. I really don't care what he does. If he wants to come back and he says, okay, we're running it back with Rodgers, cool. Best chance we have to win. Hands down. We're not going to find a quarterback that's better than Aaron Rodgers for next year. Just not happening. If he says, I want to retire, okay, cool. We bottom out, and we're probably closer to a top draft pick. What does that do to the culture, though? Hell, I don't know. Offense is consistently bottom 10. Defense allows 40 points a game. In the postseason, Steelers fans would drive Tomlin to the airport for a second-round pick. I'll be honest, I just don't want to give up picks for Tomlin, which sounds like silly for a guy that's never had a losing season. McCarthy had the second best offense in the league since he got to Dallas with Dak. But is that more of a product of like that team? Although I guess if he drafted CeeDee Lamb, that's, feather in his cap. I've always liked Dak. Ted says, I've been calling for McCarthy and Rodgers reunite in your previous chat. Yeah, you've been saying it for a while, Ted. Knobcraft, if the Steelers could hit on a quarterback, Tomlin would be right back at the top. The criticism is largely unfounded when the league is predicated on having a big-time quarterback. Love you, dude. So that was sort of my argument with Tigo, right? Like, where Tomlin, not that he has like a soft ceiling, but like he's kind of like always at 10 wins, and you're always going to have success in the regular season. You'll get into the playoffs, but you just won't be able to have like enough to make noise. That was sort of the argument we were talking about. And my argument was like, he hasn't had a quarterback really. The Jaguars' loss in 2017 is the one that like sort of stands out to me. I'd probably have to go back and watch that game to see just why that game fell apart. But like everything since then, it's like the shell of Big Ben. And then you had Kenny Pickett, who I did not think was a good quarterback. I did not endorse that pick whatsoever. And then you got Fields and Russ this year, which, I mean, I think Russ was probably a good swing because he was getting paid so much from Denver that you could sign him to the league minimum. But outside of that, like, what were his options for quarterback? Eddie says, Aaron and McCarthy are friends. They feuded, but are good friends again. Man, how many sacks has Sam taken tonight? Wow. Is that 5 sacks? I think that's 5 sacks tonight. Man, Sammy boy, falling apart. This is what happens. I wear the Sam Darnold jersey, represent a little support. Man, Sam's seeing ghosts tonight. Maybe this changes the dynamic, seeing Sam in prime time. Last week versus the Lions, this week versus the Rams. Certainly doesn't feel good right now. Sam climbs the pocket, lets it rip. I don't know. Paris says, Tomlin gives the Jets instant credibility. The question is, does he want to coach the Jets? I feel like he's probably going to take a year off. J-Boy, I'd like to see wins. That means move off Rodgers and friends. I'd like to take this bag off my head. I can't until Rodgers and friends are gone. I'll admit I am embarrassed about how this year went and like how Rodgers handled a lot of the media. And it was like definitely like didn't feel good to be a Jet fan this year. And Rodgers was certainly a part of that. But like from like a statistical standpoint, it's like, man, it's hard to argue like we're going to find a better quarterback play next year. Like, I just don't think we are. I think there's certainly better players than Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers is like, I think his lack of mobility is certainly hurting the Jets. But I don't know if the Jets have an answer. Wild Wave, bro, we have $20 million in cap space. We have to replace more than 10 starters this offseason. Is going to be so depressing. I think one of our premier talents are on the move as well. I don't know if that's the case. I think they might wait one season before moving any big pieces and kind of like reassess their situation. Like if there's a situation next year where like trading Sauce or Garrett gets you the quarterback in conjunction with picks or whatever, maybe you consider something along those lines. I don't think there's going to be any GM that comes in and just immediately starts trading dudes. Because I feel like that's like an immediate way to put like the rest of the roster on the complete defensive and like pissed off at you. I understand it's the business side of things, but that just feels unlikely. But I agree. We got like no money in cap space. I think we got $24 million. After you make a bunch of cuts, it does go up a little bit. But like it's going to be a very bare bones offseason. It's going to be like retaining our guys like Sherwood, like Yeboah, Eccles, Moses to like relatively 1-year cheap contracts. Deciding what you want to do with AVT. Do you extend him or not? Do you let him go into the final year of his deal and just ride it out and then maybe pay him? I feel like that's like a recipe for him to walk, which maybe the new GM's okay with that. He's been hurt, a decent amount. Healthy for the most part this year. JJ, are you going to exercise his 5th-year option? It's like $15 million in 2026, but you got to exercise it this year. We already know they're going to exercise on Garen Sauce. Free agent-wise, you're not going after any big names, really. You really aren't. It's like, can you find a decent interior defensive lineman? Can you find a safety? I don't think you're spending big money on like a receiver or anything if Devontae's gone. I think it's going to be a relatively quiet offseason for the Jets. Ghost Rider. Nice to have you in here. Oh, I saw a good comment. Where'd it go? Zodak says, honestly, I was way more hyped for... Oh, no, I already had that one. Sorry. So what happens when I'm hopping all over the place? Cuddy says, I would give number 7 for Tomlin. We suck. With all our studs we drafted, all these coaches are risks. We have been to the playoffs 14 times. Tomlin has been 12. I guess that's like, I don't want to give up 7 for Tomlin. I'm sorry. I don't. I feel like they're more likely to split and allow him to just leave. Like, I think, isn't that what Andy Reid did? Like the Chiefs, I don't think the Chiefs traded for Andy Reid. I got to see. So I think he just left. Did they allow to split ways? Let me know in the chat if I'm misremembering that. I would not give up 7 for Tomlin. I'm sorry. I understand it. If he had more playoff success, like relatively recently, maybe that's like something I'd consider a little bit more. But 7's going to get you a blue chip prospect. If you want to tell me I could go out and get like, I don't know, Shanahan. I want like a quarterback guru. I'm trying to think, what other guys are like around the league? I don't know. I'm not giving up 7. I'm not giving up 7 for Tomlin. I'm sorry. It's a little rich for me. I mean, granted, it's a lottery ticket, but I don't want to give up 7 for Tomlin. God, 6 sacks for Sammy Boy tonight. Look at Isaac coming in here. What a guy. Ryan, your scenario 1 from your last video would be gold. I do like it. Flores just scares the shit out of me. I think it's a very high ceiling, very low floor. Like, could go nuclear and like everyone gets pissed off midseason. Sodak says he would trade 7 and Sauce for Tomlin. Sodak, I would trade you at this point. Do not trade. What, you trade 7 and Sauce? Get the hell out of here. I don't even have my chicken. I got to queue up my chicken. Who do you draft number 7 if you don't want to trade that pick to acquire Tomlin? I would take any of... So if I'm assuming 2 quarterbacks go in the top 7, right? Before us. And then the next 5 guys on the power rankings, I would take any one of them. Any one of them. I would lean Tet McMillan. Tet McMillan's the guy I would prefer to pair with Garrett and Corley. But if you want to convince me on Mason Graham or Abdul Carter or Will Johnson, you could convince me. Ghost Rider, correct me if I'm wrong. If you cut Devontae Adams and Lazard, will add up to $36 million to the cap. Yeah, it is a lot. Let me pull it up real quick. I decided not to do the numbers because I feel like a lot of people don't like understand the numbers when I do that. I could do it in the next one. But then when I had to pivot to like I pivoted partway through like my planning process. And I was like, oh, let me do the Glenn tree and let me do the Flores tree. And it kind of didn't feel like dealing with all the numbers. Okay, so if we cut Davante and we cut Rodgers and you cut Lazard, so you're sitting at 31 million, 32 million roughly, with just those three moves: Lazard, Rodgers, and Adams. Now, if Rodgers doesn't leave, doesn't retire, Jets should be at $21 million. But then you'd restructure Davante, so that $38 million cap hit would probably be closer to like a $15 million cap hit and push money into the future. Davante's a stud. It sucks that I feel like he's probably leaving. Instead of cutting, can we trade them for picks? I don't think we would be able to. And I don't know who's giving up picks for Rodgers. Davante got a 3rd round pick, and you'd have to pay him a new contract. And the Jets aren't, I mean, unless the Jets are like, hey, cool, we're going to stink anyway, we're just going to hold on to Davante, which is kind of what the Raiders did. So maybe the Jets do something like that. I would be surprised though. All right. Let's do some call-ins. I want to talk to you guys. See where your head's at. Gonna put the call-in number in the chat. Before I do, just want to give Mando a little love.
Just because some of my takes may stink doesn't mean you guys have to stink. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in. Mando reached out and said, Ryan, your team has stunk for a very long time, so we know that you understand what stinking is. And I said, yeah, absolutely. They're like, so bad, in fact, that we think we can smell you through the camera. And I was like, man, that's very aggressive. Thank you. But what do I got to do? They're like, hey, we're going to send you out some product. We want you to test it out. We want you to be honest with your audience. And then if you like it, offer up a promo code. I was like, all right, cool. So they sent me out the starter pack. I got the Mount Fuji deodorant. Really enjoy that. Put that on every day. In the summer, I've got what is known as a chafing problem, like 2 chestnuts over a roasting fire type problem. This stuff can be put on anything. Your feet, your butt crack, your grundle, your armpits, your hands, boobies, rolls, under boobies, anywhere. This stuff is totally safe. And throwing this on the chafing areas, very, very appreciated. It comes with 2 free gifts as well. I chose the bourbon leather. Becca has really liked that, but I think my favorite thing in the pack is honestly the deodorant wipes. I throw this into my to-go bag, and I can just freshen up no matter where I am throughout my day. And maybe I was just yelling at a camera underneath some hot lights, and I just need to look a little bit nicer, smell a little bit nicer when I walk out of the cockpit here. So, guys, if you want to get in on this, I've really enjoyed it. Shopmando.com, promo code JetsTalk. That's shopmando.com, promo code JetsTalk. It's going to get you $5 off. That's a 40% off savings on their starter pack. Thank you so much for sponsoring the channel.
Thank you, Mando. Boys and girls, call-in number is pinned in the live chat. If you would like to call in, or if you want to just, watch some football, we could talk in the chat, and that is totally fine as well. I got Sodak and I got Cam behind the scenes. Let's see if I can pull this up. Did I set this up correctly? I think I did. All right, let's pull Sodak in. Sodak, how you doing, dude?
Do you see me?
I got you loud and clear. Well, I don't see you, but I hear you. Oh, and he's gone. That's how well that worked. All right, let's go over to Cameron. Cameron! How you doing, dude?
Good, how are you? I ordered one of your sweatshirts today. Waiting on them to arrive.
Saw. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated.
You're welcome. Got to support the show.
Thank you. Boys and girls, if you want to get one of your own, jetstalk.com. Cameron, what are your thoughts on the head coach, the GM situation? What do you think about Tomlin? What do you think about anyone else that's out there on the market? And what do you think about the Vikings game right now?
I mean, I feel bad for Sam Darnold. Appreciate the shirt.
The
jersey you got on, by the way. I was a big fan of his when he came out, and I'm always going to ride or die with him. He's got a short end of the stick in his career, but I want him to play well. Even if they don't win the game, I want him to play well. Gives us a quicker chance to Flores if they do, collapse. But I want Darnold to do well.
Do we think that Flores is looking like that appealing right now, giving up 24 points in the first half to the Rams in the
No.
playoffs? Now,
Not at all.
granted, this is Sam getting, 5 or 6 sacks and 2 turnovers. So, like, some of this is, like, wildly on the offensive side of the ball. But
Right.
I feel like this game is going to cost Sam a lot of dollars.
It is, and it might even cost him the starting job there in Minnesota. You know, they might try out McCarthy and be like, "Hey, great job in the regular season, but you couldn't hack it when it mattered."
Yeah, man. That's going to be wild. All right.
But
to me.
on your
Mike
question,
Tomlin,
I mean,
what other else?
you know, if I had to choose right now, if I had to stack them, if I could get Tomlin, I'd take him in a heartbeat. The man
Okay.
can build a culture. You know, his offenses are putrid. I mean, we've seen, and I know it comes down to the quarterback at the end of the day, but we've seen what he's built with the Steelers. They never have a losing season. They always play consistent. You know what you get energy wise. I like McCarthy. I like what he put up with Jerry Jones. I like, you know, his kind of New York attitude. I grew up in Brooklyn, so I understand the feeling of what it is to be a New Yorker, and he's always given me that feeling. And I think he could put up with, you know, our own headache and not kind of fold, and kind of just keep the ship steady, which would be nice. And if I'm still going to keep Flores up there. I looked back in his time in Miami. I really think he got, you know, really kind of beat up there by the ownership, you know, wanting him to lose games. I know that's not fair to him. I think if you pair him with a good GM, I don't want Grigson. I know they're best friends. I read the article on him. I think Grigson is a shit GM, especially with what he did with Andrew Luck. Dude couldn't build an offensive line to save his life, and he is an offensive lineman. I still take Dimitrov, like you said in your video earlier. Dimitrov and Flores and maybe Josh McCown. See where we go.
McCown is the part that like gets me excited. It really does. Cameron, any last words before I eject you from the cockpit?
As always, sir, have a great night.
Have a good night. Boom! Cameron,
So-
thank you so
outta
much
here!
for buying a shirt from the store. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Latif comes in and says, "For the love of God, I do not want to see Rex Ryan as head coach. I repeat, no Rex Ryan, a shit show waiting to happen." Well, the beautiful thing about that is it seems like that is very unlikely to happen. Connor Hughes said as much. So he's out of the running, apparently. Let's go over to Sodak. Let's see if we get him back on. Sodak! I can't see you, but I was able to hear you last time.
Can you hear me now?
I got you.
All right. I don't know how to work the camera. Clearly, I have no idea what I'm doing here.
That's all right.
So we're gonna go with the black screen here.
Totally fine.
But I was doing well until you said you would trade me away. For Tomlin. So I figured I'd have to call it.
Sometimes there's bad takes. Number 7 in sauce for Tomlin is a deal breaker for me. I'm sorry.
Are you a little under the weather? Are you sick?
I am, yeah. My kid's got like a ton of sicknesses. I'm like trying to blow my nose like between like calls, like mutant shit, and like it sucks. I'm all nasally right now.
I can tell you're sick, especially because you don't want Tomlin as your head coach. I think you guys that don't want Tomlin are out of your damn minds.
Yeah, I took the bait. I took the fucking bait.
Listen to me, Ryan. I would consider trading them away this entire draft. Every pick in this draft for Tomlin. I mean, if you told me pick whatever your favorite coach is and then whatever your favorite offensive coordinator, your general manager, your defensive coordinator, I would take Tomlin over your top pick for all those positions. I mean, we would be so lucky to have a guy like that.
So I understand the thought process. And I think if they had had more success relatively recently, I might be a little more inclined. Like, I see all the like venom that Steelers fans are spitting towards Tomlin, and it's like, man, this like doesn't feel like how
their minds, dude. These guys have had 3 head coaches in the last 190 years since the Civil War when football started being played. They've had 3 coaches, and they don't know, dude. They don't know what it's like to suck. That's why I think. I mean, Tomlin, yes, I agree with you. Hasn't had playoff success. But, man, doesn't it remind you a little bit of the Andy Reid situation? I know Andy Reid made it further in the playoffs and all those things, but can't you see some of the similarities?
Maybe. I mean, as far as like a premium guy that's been in one spot for so long, and then I don't even know if he's necessarily traded. I think they might allow him to leave. Like, I think it is an Andy Reid situation where like he can just go somewhere he wants to go. I don't know. It's funny. Before like seeing all these Steelers fans up in arms, I would have been like, yeah, absolutely, Tomlin. And like after seeing it, I'm like, oh, maybe I need to rethink Tomlin right now.
I don't trust those Steelers fans one bit. The only hesitancy I have to Mike Tomlin is if you look at these, and maybe this is crazy, but if you look at these wide receivers that he's had on his team the last 10 years, they've all lost their damn minds. Antonio Brown, Chase Claypool, George Pickens. These guys are fucking nuts.
You can go back even further than that. Santonio Holmes.
Wilson's going to start doing crack cocaine if Mike Tomlin comes through again.
Yeah, maybe we don't want Tomlin when we have receivers, but they wind up playing well. So like glass half full. Sodak, anything else before I eject you from the cockpit?
No, God willing, we get it figured out this time, and God bless everybody.
Thank you so much for calling in, Sodak. Boom! You've been ejected from the cockpit. Boys and girls, call numbers pinned to the live chat if you'd like to call in. If not, it's all right. Just talk to the chat and get your thoughts. Let's see. So Flores gets a pass, but Darnold doesn't after a great regular season. Oh, I'm not saying that. I really like Sam, but I think seeing Sam perform like that in crunch time is highly concerning, especially in a contract year. Because this feels like Jet Sam is what I'm watching right now. Anu says, Mike, or lose the next 10 years. I'll take Mike. Talking about Tomlin. JV says, McCarthy, Peterson, Gruden or Carroll all have won Super Bowls, yet a proven winner. Do we think there's anything like different as far as like winning a Super Bowl in your past and being a coach now that can relate to players? Like, I feel like Carroll could probably do that. McCarthy could probably do that because he was just in Dallas. I don't feel like Peterson right now. Maybe I just don't watch enough Jaguars games. And Gruden's been out of the league for a minute. I enjoy Gruden. I am shocked that we haven't tried to ask for him. We got LaSalle calling in. What's up, LaSalle?
Hey.
Talk to me. What do you think? What do you want to see happen? I guess you got Shedeur Sanders on the Jaguars there.
Man, it's tough, No. I'm sorry. The only camera I have is it's a thing.
That's
it's
all right.
Game card, but it's the only thing I have.
It's all right.
I wish you could like cancel it out.
No. It's totally fine. I'm enjoying this. I almost wish you were playing while we're talking here. But go on. What do you want to see the Jets do as far as head coach goes?
I'm good with Aaron Glenn. And if he's the head coach, I wouldn't be that mad. If it was Brian Flores, it would be great because we get to troll Miami Dolphin fans that way. Right, you know what I mean? Like we get to troll Dolphin fans, like, oh, we got Brian Flores. He's on a better team now. But my thing was the whole night, like when we were looking for a head coach, I was like, I want an offensive-minded coach, but it has to be someone that could bring some like flair into this offense. Because the defense is fine. The defense is great. And whoever we get out of the defensive coordinator, they're gonna have like they're looking their child with how much talent we have defensively. It's the offense that I feel like they need more work. And I felt like, man, we need to go after. We need someone to help this offense, man. Because that's been the main thing that's been struggling.
How do you feel about McCown?
I like McCown. I like McCown for sure. I like the other one we have, Brian Grease or something like that.
Brian Greasy?
I like them, but I understand why people are like, no, go after go after Aaron Glenn because you see their defense is flying or buying Flores. But the one thing is like the same thing that happened with Robert Saleh is as soon as they get as soon as we get him in, can we get an offensive coordinator that could rebuild his offense? Because that's been the problem with Robert Saleh this whole entire time in his tenure. We couldn't get an offensive coordinator to get the offense right, get the offense going. And that's why I'm like, we need an offensive minded coach, just so and make sure that it's like an actual offensive minded sound coach to get this offense going and let the defense go where they need to be. Let the defense go. Get a good defensive coordinator in, licking their chops with how much we have, and that's it. But I understand why people want Aaron Glenn, though. I understand, and I wouldn't be mad.
It's the love of the Jet fandom and the declining of the Patriots interview offer that gets me for sure. LaSalle, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Brandon says, I don't think Tomlin is innovative enough to move the Jets forward. I don't think we should be striving for mediocrity. Man, we are a fickle bunch. And I understand because I'm in that same wavelength. I don't feel like I want to trade for Tomlin, but we should be so lucky as to complain that we would have 16 or 18 or however many years he's been in Pittsburgh winning seasons. Nunya says, Darnold is mid. Flores is a perfect failure. Stop wanting scrubs or we will never win. So I understand all the concerns with Flores because that's what I think makes him so volatile. I'm going to pause the screen right here so you can read the comments on this side. Discipline with the Dolphins. Some of the least penalized teams in the league. His worst season as a head coach in terms of penalties, he was league average at 14th. The Jets this past year were first. He exceeds expectations. That first year with the Dolphins should have been a winless year. He got him to 5 wins. 2020, they were projected 6 wins. He got them to 10. And in 2021, they were projected 9 wins. And that season started off like a hot mess. Then he goes 8-1 down the stretch to get to 9 wins. That, to me, is playing your players above the talent level that is perceived of them. The Vikings' defense, when he got there, was 24th. After 1 year, they're 11th. After 2 years, they're 2nd. So clearly, between the GM and the defensive side of the ball and the offense coming alive, certainly helps the defense under Flores. Now, as far as the issues with Flores goes, 5 OCs in 3 years is not a good look. 4 offensive line coaches in 3 years is not a good look. This guy doesn't play nice in the sandbox. And then the Fitzpatrick comments, highly concerning. Tua didn't want to be voted a captain because he didn't want to spend more time with Flores. Like, all these things add up to just a horrible potential powder keg situation for the Jets. But I also think the ceiling's sky high because I think he's a good coach. From a strategy standpoint, the guy seems pretty sound. But there's more to that than being a head coach. You got to be able to work with people. Anu says, I want to get to the playoffs. Let's go with guys that know how to get there. Mike McCarthy or Mike Tomlin. Phil says Deion to the Cowboys. That was my first thought. Once McCarthy was getting let go, I think Deion goes to the Cowboys. Since he's no longer coaching his son, I think he wouldn't mind going to the NFL. Get Ben Johnson, Cohen, top offensive mind with good DC. I like that, but we didn't request either of those guys. I would like to go with Joe Brady would be a fun swing. Or even friggin' McCown. Take a swing. Why not? Wow, Sam just got blown the hell up. Nice pass, though. Cliff Kingsbury for head coach. I really like Cliff. I don't think it's happening. He's getting paid like a head coach through 2027. That's really the big issue with him. Flores has a record of building good defenses and disciplined teams. Sam has one season of great production. So did Nick Foles and Case Keenum. Yeah, Flores gets a pass. Talking about why Sam Darnold is not getting the same pass. Yeah, see, Adirondack Fly Guy gets it. Kingsbury's not leaving Washington. He's an OC right now getting paid $7.5 million a year through 2027, courtesy of the Arizona Cardinals. Brandon R. says, I think Jets fans are shell-shocked. We should seriously be looking at coordinators and upcoming talent. I hear Flores is a real meanie. Fans and hosts still dreaming of guys that have done nothing but fail. Would we call McCarthy or would we call Flores nothing but fail if he's exceeded expectations each year? What contract is Sam looking like after this game? It's looking like franchise tag if you're looking at me. That's a lot of money, though. Maybe transition tag? Bino says Sam is looking like what he is. Sam is looking like he is a guy who got lucky landing where he did, and the talent on Minnesota carried him. The last two games, New York, Sam showed his true colors. He does not look good the last 2 weeks. Warming up to the idea of McCarthy, proven head coach with offensive background. Yeah, I'd be okay with McCarthy. Would he be okay with us? Rodgers comes back a year. Do you let him draft a quarterback this year? Or do they wait a season to do that? Man, I got to turn the chat off. Y'all are killing me. Got a rowdy chat tonight. Pair him with Rodgers, draft Dart, and sit for a year or two. That would be wild. How high would you have to take Dart? Because I think he goes into the first round. I think the appeal of having McCarthy and Rodgers here, at least for another year, is to let that young guy sit. Matthias says, I think they are trying to get a GM that would be good or would be on with Glenn as coach. Glenn feels like he's probably the favorite. Even though I think all three of our beat reporters, Rosenblatt, Samini, and Hughes, I think have all said the Minnesota tree. Although after this game, I would have to think there's going to be some reconsidering. And the development of McCarthy becoming available. Spielman, Football operations, Agnew GM, Glenn head coach. That'd be cool. I don't know why why Agnew's not getting any GM interviews. Maybe he's just fine staying there. How the hell is Tennessee doing second interviews and we still are going through the first round interviews? The hell is this? It's because Tennessee's a way better landing spot than we are. They have the first pick. They have a short list. We've got a very, very long list. That would be my my assessment on that. Sonny's calling in. Let's go over to Sonny. What's up, Sonny?
Hey, Ryan. How are you, man?
How you feeling about McCarthy and potentially Tomlin and all these guys for head coach?
Okay. I know, like, the fan base is down on these guys in general, but I got to be honest. We would be so lucky to get a guy like Tomlin, who's had all of those regular season wins, a highly accomplished guy. He's got the one Super Bowl, all of those playoff appearances, and I'll put McCarthy just under him. I'd prefer Tomlin, but that's not going to happen. The Steelers ain't letting that guy go. I'd be really shocked if they let go of him or traded him or anything like that. McCarthy is interesting. Me personally, I want to coach with some experience. I'd hate to get another first-time head coach in here. So McCarthy is interesting, but we don't know where the Jets are going with GM or anything like that. So another thing, I know a lot of people are kind of high on Flores. I mean, it just reminds me a lot of the last time we heard there was a disciplinarian coach firing players in Miami that got out of line. That didn't go so well for us. That was Adam Gase.
Yeah, I definitely don't want Adam Gase 2.0, but like defensive side of the ball. Like if that's where they think they're heading, I think they're trying to do the research though. I think that's why they're bringing in McCown and Grigson. I think they're trying to figure out if Flores is worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, supposedly it's a dude with some people skills and an attitude problem, and I mean, it's just for me, it's not the fun pick. It's a rethread AFC East guy. I'm just not interested in that.
I can understand. Now, as far as like quarterback for next year, is there a player you envision being the starting quarterback for the Jets?
Oh man, I hope it's not Tyrod Taylor. I'll say that much.
Are you hoping Rodgers comes back?
I think Rodgers is going to give us the best chance next year at any type of success. But all that being said, I mean, if they go ahead and draft a young guy and throw him in there, I'm fine with that as well. But I think logically, you get Rodgers to restructure. You see if he wants to run it back. You shore up the defense. Bring in a real head coach here and try to go out there and win some games and get us in the postseason after 15 years. I think Rodgers gives us the best shot at doing that, even though it's been a debacle the last couple of years.
I completely agree with you, Sonny. And you know what? If they want to go that route, I'm cool with running back with Rodgers. I'm cool if they decide, hey, Rodgers is retiring and we're just going to like kind of stink for a year. Like literally either option to me is, I don't want to say they're equal, but I don't value one over the other necessarily because I don't right now. I don't feel like Rodgers is the guy to win us a Super Bowl. So like I feel like it's almost like a settling for like, hey, just get us through this time period of like get us to the playoffs. Like just break that, get that monkey off our back, so that way that pressure's not on the next young kid.
Absolutely,
and that's like kind of it.
Tempered. And one last thing about Rodgers, the reason I'd be okay with bringing him back. I keep hearing about a possible stopgap 1-year veteran QB. So if you're going to bring some random guy in here for a year, just run it back with Rodgers. It's. I mean,
now if Rodgers says he wants to retire, what do you do in that scenario?
They probably bring in another veteran and draft a guy.
Yeah. All right, Sonny. Well, it's been fun talking to you. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Sonny, thank you for playing. L.A. charging down the field right now. Cooper Kupp making nice catches. Got Sodak Caller is clearly a high IQ individual. Wanting Tomlin. Got a few high IQ individuals. We got a few low ones in the chat. That's all right. I like you. You can hang around anytime. I have low IQ takes plenty of times. The more I watch and read of Flores and his time in Miami, the more I think it's so wildly volatile. The more I read on Tomlin, after feeling like I was like, I really want this guy, it makes me feel like maybe not. Like, is this a mediocrity thing? McCarthy's an interesting one. I don't know if the Jets are as talented. I mean, maybe right now we're as talented as Dallas was. We don't have the quarter. Well, I guess you have Rodgers, right? Man, I don't know. I could roll the dice with McCarthy. I think Tomlin not having good offensive staff is what scares me a little bit more from Tomlin than anything else. Like, I'd rather take a swing on someone who hasn't been a head coach. So, like, their upside could be way higher on offense. From a culture standpoint, Tomlin's a home run. Home run. Dart reminds me of Zach wearing number 2 and sporting a headband. Nah. Is it true they went to the same high school? Is that like, I thought that's what I heard. Maybe I'm picking out the wrong player. I thought someone said that. That might just be because of the headband and the 2. The Jets would be the butt of every joke in existence if we hired McCarthy, but he is hardly the worst candidate. Would prefer an up-and-comer. Is Deion a serious candidate for the Cowboys? He obviously wants to coach his son in the pros. I think he's definitely a serious contender for the Cowboys job. I think he's the guy they want. I think it's him and Belichick. I don't know if Belichick can get out of his UNC contract or not. I think there's like a $10 million buyout, if I remember correctly. But if I were the Cowboys, I'd be looking at Deion. I think Deion's Hollywood. I think he'll get people to play there. I don't think he's trying to coach his son necessarily in the pros. But if he goes to the pros, then at some point in the future, he might. And that might be a cool thing to do. But I don't think that's an immediate thing that he's trying to do in Dallas. It would be wild to see Dallas trade like Dak to the Raiders. Like the Raiders get up to 2, and then somehow the Raiders and the Cowboys trade. Because Dak can't go to the Browns, right? Or do the Browns just sit and pick? McCarthy had Dak in the MVP conversation last year. How can a guy that plays 5 games a year before he breaks like glass be considered a starting quarterback? Tyrod Taylor should not be quarterback 1 option. No, I think he's a quarterback 2 all the way. And I think if we were to bring in like a Fields or insert some young quarterback to go against Travis, it's almost like the 2 young quarterbacks with Jordan Travis or with Tyrod just being the 2. Brandon wants hire the highest floor, which would probably be McCarthy and Tomlin. Darnold getting lit up. Lightning strike cards. Says Rodgers will retire, then become the head coach. I don't know if that wins us games. I feel like that personality might rub people. Dart is Mormon and did go to the same high school as Zach. Interesting. There are 4 Super Bowl winning head coaches available. Let's get one. Talking about Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, Mike McCarthy, and John Gruden. I think those are the 4 you're talking about. I don't know if Gruden's actively interviewing anywhere, but Flores' defense getting sliced up right now. Yeah, I mean, I think you just look at the game and you say, I don't know how much you want the Vikings guys in this immediate moment. Wild Wave, why are we picking 42nd in the second round? Shouldn't we be 38 after Vegas? Let me pull it up. I think I know the answer to this before saying it, but let me just look at the actual thing. It's because we are the first team with 5 wins. When you get to each successive round, that flips. So instead of being 7th in that round, we will be 10th in that round. Or 8th in that round. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Unless it's some other factor. But I know we don't pick in the same exact spot each time. Kevin says, the reason I'm warming up to McCarthy is because he'd have a high floor, and I think that's what the Jets need. We keep swinging for home runs and miss instead of taking the easy double. I think after talking to everyone in this chat, I'm leaning more McCarthy. Do like a Mike McCarthy, Josh McCown. I don't know who you get for DC. I think I just want McCown. I really like McCown. You could do a lot worse than McCarthy. Oh, JV saying Peterson, Gruden, Carroll, McCarthy, because Tomlin is not available right now. Bro, Travis, multiple setbacks, rehabbing injury, may never take a snap, is how he penciled in on the team, let alone playing. Yeah, I don't think you put any stock. You don't put any stock in Jordan Travis. His is just like a hope. Fifth round pick. Been a few short fields for the Rams, though. Yeah, fumble and an interception. Certainly will do that. Is Zach seriously still living rent-free in haters' smooth brains? Sad. Sadly, yes, because that was our last swing at a quarterback. At a young quarterback. Kev says, keep reading. We don't want retread McCarthy. Afram says, would you do Flores head coach Peterson, OC, and Glenn and Peterson? Flores just scares the heck out of me right now. Like, the more and more I read of, like, his time in Miami, as much as I like the success he did have and the discipline his teams had, because I do think the Jets need that, he just pisses so many people off. Julio. Darnold's stock falling by the minute. Yeah, he just lost himself a shit ton of money tonight. This is not good. Yeah, he's either going to be available or they're going to offer him like a franchise tag. I mean, at the very least, he probably gets tagged and traded. Maybe a transition tag is what you see. Andy Reid was a retread before the Chiefs. Yeah, that was one of those like, okay, it's just gotten stale, but he's clearly an offensive mind that's gotten them to like so many AFC title games. Like, he was coming off success, if memory serves correct. Because when he left, he had just tried the Michael Vick experiment, and that went wildly well for like a season and a half or 2 seasons after the McNabb era. And I don't know, when did he leave? Like 2012? Is that right? That feels right. I don't remember how Philadelphia was doing, because that was post Vic at that point, I think. Ryan, if we had McCarthy or Flores this whole year, how many more games would we have won? I mean, it depends if you think the penalties would be resolved, right? If McCarthy or Flores could whittle down the penalties, if we could be league average of penalties, you probably pick up another 3 games at least. McCarthy, you probably have a better offense. Flores, probably less penalties. Darnold's going to be available for anyone who's the idiot's going to give him the bag. Sam is what everyone already knew he was. I mean, he's just going to be a lot cheaper when he goes to the Rams for a year, sit behind Stafford. Maybe he goes to Pittsburgh for a season. Belichick was a retread. Yes, he was. Started with the Browns. Still a lot of game left, unfortunately, or unfortunately for Sam. Fortunately or unfortunately. McCarthy is head coach, Eberflus as defensive coordinator. Ooh, interesting pairing. So much for them trading J.J. McCarthy. Yeah, I would say that dream's dead. That is gonzo. McCarthy, McCown, and Rivera. That, I like the sound of that. I really like the sound of that. I really want McCown as OC. I think that's kind of what I've landed on. So if you want to take McCarthy as like the OC himself, like actually calling plays to learn and have McCown focus on quarterback, like you're just the quarterback guy. And the heir apparent to head coach at some point. I could roll with that. I don't love Rivera's defense, though. I don't think he's had a good defense the last few years. He had a lot of like really highly drafted guys. Did McCarthy hire Quinn as DC? In Dallas, yeah, I think so. Because he would have left. Did Quinn leave in 19? I think Quinn got fired in 19. And Raheem Morris was interim head coach. I think that was 19. And then he goes to... Then they went to Arthur Smith, and I think that's when he became DC of Dallas. It was in 2020, so I think that's right. Do we let the GM just pick the head coach? Yeah, but then you got to get it right. I think there's a few people that you would say, all right, you try to get a GM that you work well with. McCarthy might be one of those guys. Vrabel was one of those guys, I think. Anyone else, you probably have to get a GM and be like, you're probably talking through the GM situation now, saying like, hey, who's your short list for head coaches? And even just going through the GM list to find out who their list is. You got that list from each one of those guys, plus the 33rd team that you like, helping you already. I don't know. It feels hopeless, Jet fans. I want to believe we're going to do well. Bino saying McCarthy, McCown, and sexy Rexy's brother as DC. Yeah, Rob Ryan. I think I'd rather Rex just for the story of it all. Just chaos. Fucking clown cars open. Come on in, right? All right, boys and girls. Gotten to the end of the stream. I'm going to wind it down here. If you haven't done so already, head over to BetUS. Get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Check out the Jets win-loss prediction. I have Rodgers retiring. I don't think Rodgers comes back. The Jets are going to wind up going 5-12. It's going to be a rough season. Going to wind up with like a top 5 pick. Hopefully a quarterback-rich draft class, and you feel all right. We'll see where it goes from here. Boys and girls, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you tonight. I always enjoy talking with you on a Monday. I'll be back here tomorrow, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock with the Talking Jets guys, myself, O'Leary, and Greenbean. This is Jets Talk signing off. Jets!
That's it! You're out of Cover for him!